Now let's start with the chairman's dialogue on technology impact on human experience. Now we have Cyberport's chairman, Dr. George Lam. He will chat with the world's leading hedge fund and top investor, Dr. David Siegel, and also co-chairman and co-founder to Sigma, chairman, Siegel Family Endowment, who joins us actually all the way from New York. So I believe we're 12 hours apart. So I will actually hand this time for them. Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, perfect. Warm welcome to the Cyberport Venture Capital Forum, CVCF 2021. The CVCF is an international platform bringing together the very top tech investors and very promising tech startups and potential unicorns, and to attract and deploy abundant risk capital and smart money in the Cyberport ecosystem. Cyberport is Hong Kong's digital tech flagship and global tech hub, housing over 1,700 tech companies and startups. And the focus is tech investment. So a question arises as to tech's impact on the human experience, particularly AI and machine learning, among other things. So I'm very pleased to have with us today a top expert and practitioner in the field, himself also an entrepreneur and a big tech investor, Mr. David Siegel, to join me together for this thematic session on tech's impact on the human experience. David is co-chairman and co-founder of Two Sigma, and also chairman of the Siegel Family Endowment. Well, David, warm welcome and thank you for supporting Hong Kong and the Greater Bay Area and the entire, big entrepreneurial movement in this region. Now, I like to really draw your insights about what are the trends that you see, for example, the examples and so on in the US and Europe, of the impact of worker displacement because of AI and machine learning and such technology deployment. What's your view about the need for reskilling the workforce or to future-proof our workforce, please?
Well, and before I talk about that, thank you very much for inviting me to be with you today. It is a great pleasure to be part of your conference, and I'm so happy to be here. You ask a very, very important question, one that is impacting workers throughout the world. The advancement of AI and other technologies has really changed the nature of work much more rapidly than perhaps most people had expected. Jobs that today were done in many cases by people are more rapidly being converted to automated production. It could be within a factory with more computer and robotic-based assembly. It could be in an office environment where AI handles the more routine forms of work. And what this is doing is creating the need for human workers to have greater skills. It is more important than ever for humans to be able to handle more complicated, creative kinds of work. The transformation that technology is causing has really been in play for many decades. It's not a new thing. Computers have been around now for many decades. And as computer technologies have advanced, the kinds of jobs that people perform have changed. So, for example, a generation ago, there were jobs in accounting that are now being done by automated software. And the transformation has been accelerating because of the incredible capabilities of AI.
Wonderful. Well, kind of summary of what's going on. I mean, and it's happening not just in one area, but, across, society and the economy. So the impact is tremendous. And what you've been doing, as I've learned, is increasingly more what we call now impact investing. So what have you done, to really help resolve this challenge in terms of impact investing?
Well, one thought that I had a number of years ago is that so much of investment in the tech world was being directed at things that would eliminate the need for human work. Tech companies are developing all kinds of automated capabilities that make businesses more efficient. And the technologies that many companies have put together make the workers less important. And that made a lot of sense, because if you create a technology that will automate something, a company will pay quite a bit of money for that technology. But the problem is the workers are being displaced by the technology. And so I thought, really I continue to believe, that even though artificial intelligence has advanced tremendously, we humans are still very, very capable, more capable than a piece of software. We're more capable than a robot, but we have to be given the right kind of work. And so one of the impact investing areas that I have been involved with is looking for opportunities where you can find a company that employs human workers and invest in businesses that will upskill, increase the skill of their workforce to allow the humans to perform higher value work. And that business model, I think, is a good one, because I'm very optimistic that we are still very, very capable.
Wow. Very glad to hear. I share your view, actually. And this is important message for our young entrepreneurs and talents. We are here to make the human experience better rather than more miserable. And
technology is very interesting, because Moore's law, which has predicted for decades the advancement of computer processing power, has really, in a way, taken over our lives. The technologies are invented, and then we have been asked to adapt to the technology. But really, the world shouldn't work that way. We should be focusing on inventing technologies that are designed around us, not to make us change to adopt to the technology. So we get to shape the world, and the young entrepreneurs that are at Cyberport, will be thinking about how can they make human lives better. It's not just about inventing a creative technology, it's about making things better for people.
Wow, what a timely reminder for our young entrepreneurs and talents, right? We are not here just to make money, to become a unicorn, but actually to make the world better for everyone. Great. I mean, now I really like to zero in onto a success factor of your firm, because our team has done, a bit of research and found that, you've been very successful. Your team has been very successful in applying data science and the scientific approach to investing, particularly from the public markets to now the private investments area. So this is quite a jump. And I just wonder, how could a systematic approach be applied to private investments such as venture capital and private equity? Because the public markets is much more transparent, lots of data, lots of reporting and regulations. But the private market is kind of unruly and unpredictable and less transparent.
Indeed, that's true. Big data and machine learning methods are very widely successful when you have the right kinds of data available, as you just said. There are many, many, many domains, including the public markets, healthcare, a variety of applications for big data that have been really the low-hanging fruit, the easiest ones to apply this new technology towards. However, many other marketplaces do have a lot of data available. It's harder to get the data. You have to be more creative. You have to think more about how the technology can work with more limited amounts of data. Advances in machine learning are making it possible to develop tools without the vast quantity of data that the earlier generation approaches have required. So one observation is that as AI advances, its applications can be brought to areas that perhaps don't have the vast quantity of data. But another is that sometimes you want to combine together the skills of humans with the skills of AI. So rather than to turn the entire problem over to an AI system, maybe you want to marry together the creative abilities of a human investor with the powerful abilities of AI to process large amounts of data and look for indicators that help a human to make a better decision. And so in markets like private investing, for example, real estate or in even venture capital, I think in the end, the decisions today still will ultimately need to be made by humans in most cases, but the AI tools can allow the humans to make much better decisions.
Oh, fascinating. Two Sigma is a leading international investment firm, but many people here think that you are in fact a tech company because the Two Sigma team has a lot of data scientists and practicing data science applications a lot. Tell us more about your secret sauce. What's going on? What's within this black box? And and these days it's fashionable for people to say, "Well, I'm data-driven tech investors. I'm also a tech company," and so on and so forth. How do you how does Two Sigma kind of differentiate yourself in this convoluted market?
Yes, I mean, so today, of course, everyone uses AI. Everyone is data-driven. These are the buzzwords, and there's a little exaggeration that probably occurs. How could you have a company today and not in some way say that you're applying or using data and AI? It's become really all too common. And I do believe that most companies today are becoming more sophisticated in their use of data. It really is a data-driven world because of the internet and many other advances. There's far more data available for every kind of business to use in decision making. So I don't, when we started our business 20 years ago, it was not really, that was before, in fact, the word big data was being used. The big data is a newer concept. So we're an relatively early adopter, but I think more importantly, it's not, in my opinion, so much are you using data? It has more to do with what kind of company culture do you have? And I like to really focus more on how we are a scientifically driven company. So we try to think like scientists. We try to take a business problem and think about a solution to it using the same kinds of methods that a scientist would use. And so it's not just about using data, it's about being scientific in how you go about doing this.
Well, David, wow. I'm sure, you will receive a lot of job applications, from Asia after your talk today. So this is fascinating. If I were young, I probably would be one of those applicants. Yeah, this is good.
But you are still young.
Wonderful. This is classic entrepreneurial spirit. Now, let me quickly go back to entrepreneurship, which is the core of the new economy and the post-COVID-19 pandemic, new normal. Now, I'd like to really draw your views on what should be the key attributes of a successful startup, because the CVCF, is very focused on supporting new tech startups and venture investment. You have co-founded Two Sigma for 20 years and now very successful. In the startup world, the normal lifespan is 1 year or less. Now you're 20 years alive and kicking and thriving. Can you share what are the attributes that you see as the key to entrepreneurial success? Because a lot of people here really want to hear, from you about this.
Well, these are only my opinions, and there's not one or two criteria, but I would share a few thoughts that I have. First, it really is all about the people. Being an entrepreneur, building a company, it doesn't matter how good your idea is, but you need to build a group of people that are enthusiastic, dedicated, and have the right talents to succeed. You need to build a culture that encourages collaboration, where people want to help each other and build things together. The culture of your organization will play a very big part of whether or not you will accomplish your goals. Beyond the people, it's very important to actually be solving a real problem rather than creating a solution looking for a problem. Many people come up with ideas for things that really don't have that ideal. They're not solving something. They're an invention that is looking for someone to come up with a problem for that invention to solve. That's backwards. And finally, I would say that it's very important to adopt a minimum viable product, MVP philosophy, where you need to understand, what is the key things that you need in your initial product to be successful. If you overdo it, the startup will be tackling a problem that is too hard. So the MVP idea is, I think, a very good one.
Wonderful. So on the one hand, it's scientific method. on the other hand, is a human-centric approach. Great. Perhaps, your quick words about the Greater Bay Area or GBA. This is a fascinating prospect here in Asia. It's Hong Kong, Macau, plus 9 very promising cities in the Guangdong province of China, which is the #1 economic performance province of China. So we're supposed to be globally connected, with everywhere, making the world better. But what's your view? What would be your comments or suggestions for all of us here?
Well, I think, I have been to the Greater Bay Area many times. We have operation in Hong Kong and have been, really very happy with all of our activities in the area. I enjoy very much the spirit of entrepreneurialism that I have seen firsthand. I think that the ability for this region to prosper is really built upon an incredible work ethic, and also, as you say, the fact that this area is very connected to the world. I think we live in fact, a very small world. Everything is quite connected together, and I think we all can learn and share and help each other succeed. I think that in the end, the planet Earth, it will only do well if we all work together to build better things.
Well, thank you, David. Great. So the Greater Bay Area is also the global Bay Area. We're working together for the betterment of the human race and planet Earth. Thank you. It's great to have you here today. Thank you, David.
You're very welcome. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.